Well, look how the tables have turned. The left ignored sky-high inflation for 4 years under Joe Biden, and now those same desperate Democrats are trying to pin the January inflation report on President Trump, which rose 3% from a year earlier, even though he was barely in office.
If there's one mandate Donald Trump had, it was to fight inflation on day one. Americans woke up this morning to bad news for their bank accounts. They woke up to a grim reality that Donald Trump is not going to keep his promise to lower costs. They woke up, Americans woke up to an era of Trumpflation. And unfortunately, this is only the beginning.
And here's something you never believed. Joe Rogan and Joy Behar are in agreement. The podcast superstar and co-host of The View both say Democrats are veering off their path to redemption.
They're not course correcting at all. You know, they're saying stupid. It's all nonsense. Their understanding of social media and the dynamics that you set up by having completely state-controlled mainstream media, where they only said the narratives that you guys wanted. They all said it in step.
Remember when Trump used to call in constantly? Yeah. He was on this show. That is what they should be doing. Every time
ambushing the
they
airwaves.
should be ambushing the airways. The Democrats, get off your butts and start doing it.
Okay, you know, the liberal left, Jesse, is really having a hard time dealing with Donald Trump and all the successes in the 22 days that he spent in office. And so they are saying right now that we've got to stop Trump, we've got to slow him down, we got to call in and make sure people don't hear him.
When I met Emma's parents for the first time, I was at the beach and I was in a bathing suit, and so were they. And I think it's the best way to meet someone because it strips you down of all of your BS. They didn't see what car I was driving. They didn't see, what clothes I was wearing. This is the Democratic Party. They are naked. They have nothing. This is who they are. They don't have the media. They don't have special counsels. They don't have big tech to censor you. All of their traditional weapons are gone. What you see is what you get. And what you're seeing are people just singing and swearing.
Yeah.
They are unpersuasive. These are the kind of people that you see on a college campus, an activist who never matured. And they never had to mature because they had all these things in their corners that allowed them to cheat and mobilize and cancel you and censor you and bully you. And that is gone. So this is the stripped down version of a true modern day Democrat. And it's embarrassing. And Greg's made the point, no one wants to have a beer with people like this.
And you know, Dana, they still haven't come to grips with why they lost.
No.
And Hakeem Jeffries actually came out and said, we've got to find some common ground with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think if they continue to listen to people like Joy Behar, they'll stay in the doldrums. Something that came out today is that the Democrats are mad at their outside groups because the outside groups are agitating them. And they're saying, but there's nothing we can actually do. We have no power. We have no seats. We have no special counsels. We have nothing. We've lost everything. And then you can't fix a mess like that by just flooding the airwaves because what are you going to say? All they're doing is cursing and singing, and they're not persuading anybody. It's like if you were it's like you were the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Oh boy.
Oh, here we go.
I'm doing this fresh out of my head. And
welcome to my
Andy
world.
Reid,
Yeah.
in the locker room said, just do better. And that was the only direction, and he didn't give them a new game plan. Then they were going to lose, but they all lost anyway. But they still made 22 points in the end. I don't know where I was going with that exactly. I should have never tried, and I should ask permission. But the other thing is, for example, today on the New York Times Daily Podcast, they talked about the constitutional crisis that's happening. And what they do, though, is they throw their hands in the air and they say, well, I guess no one cares because nobody's as smart as we are.
Yeah, well,
and they don't look in the mirror and touch some grass and figure out what's really going on.
Can you tell us if they're smart, Greg?
You know what this is? This isn't left or right anymore. It's before and after. There's no way they can go back. The old concept of how to defeat Trump is 2023. It's not Trump they need to defeat. It's themselves. You know, when you go to a shrink with a problem, you know, my wife drives me nuts. The shrink isn't going to say, well, let me talk to her. I'll straighten her out. No, the shrink says to you, okay, we need to address your behavior so you can react differently to these stresses, and maybe that'll help solve the problems. They haven't yet gotten to that point, but they have to reconcile that there's no way to go back. I mean, I think America is learning, and I think it's through DOGE, especially through the transparency at educating themselves that all that crap that we went through from, you know, during the Biden years and stuff, it didn't have to be. Trans, Soros, open border, managed decline of a country. We were told that that's how it was going to be, and you were going to love it. You were going to love, this is just how it is, you know? And now it's like Trump comes in and goes, no. In fact, we can get rid of this. We can stop that. We can do this. Things are going to get better. You're going to feel better. Everything's going to be great. And people are going like, I ain't going back. There's no way you can go back after this. So the Dems, I think, are pining for a dead lover, you know? But just go to the cemetery, lay some flowers. Your best bet is to move on, see the world for what it is. And it's not what the media told you it was. Part of this responsibility is on the media who told them the world was totally different.
Dead lover, Harold.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough one. I'd say a couple things. First, what Dana, your analogy was spot on. And what I think you wanted to say after you said do better, that means just keep doing the same thing you're doing, but try to do it better. That's what Democrats are doing, and it's ineffective. The campaigning that we did during the last election, it didn't work. The strategy didn't work because the message, the substance wasn't there. You have to develop new substance. Now, President Trump, unfortunately, today, I say unfortunately because I didn't want the inflation numbers to come out like they did. I was hoping for inflation to be going down, not up, which it is. President Trump immediately blamed President Biden. I don't understand that, but it's where it is. I didn't want that. So Democrats, a message is needed. Why not develop a tax plan that Democrats support that maybe has no tax on tips, has better tax treatment for middle class America, better tax treatment for Main Street businesses in the country, as opposed to singing outside of the Capitol? Why not do this in a rural area, in an urban area across the country? On border security, it is interesting. As we sit here tonight, Republicans in the House and Republicans in the Senate are just in disagreement over what Mr. Holman wants and the president wants for border security money. They want $175 or $180 billion. Lindsey Graham wants to give it to him, but Speaker Johnson can't get the votes in the House. Highlight these differences as opposed to the nonsense that you're talking about. And Judge, your lead-in should be the thing that Democrats, if you're a coach and you have them in the locker room, you put up on the wall, Joe Rogan, Joy Behar, they're in agreement. Why the heck can't we get an agreement on something to make the country better and stronger and make the middle class realize that we have a voice, not only a serious voice, but we have answers to their problems?
That was wonderful, Harold.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Up next, the dealmaker-in-chief, Trump, bringing Americans home, and he's ready to end the war in Ukraine.